Those who know me personally know that I love data, but I'm not a big fan when it is manipulated and generally bad design when it comes to presenting it. So when I heard there was such a chart in the Congressional Hearings on Planned Parenthood of all things, I had to investigate. Now, this isn't meant to be a political series, so I'll try and keep it as neutral as best as I can. The clip here is about 2 minutes long, so have a look so you can understand the context of what I'll be discussing.
None of the dollars that you are discussing are federal dollars, and the Planned Parenthood Federation of America receives almost no federal dollars. I think at this point only $21,000 for a clinical trial network.
It goes to the same organization, and you just separate all that out. Let me go to the last one.
We are highly accountable.
My time, I've gone over time. I need to show this last slide. This one I don't understand. And in the case of Dana, when she came to Planned Parenthood, did she get a mammogram?
No, she was referred for a mammogram. Absolutely.
And that's part of the challenge, is that you don't do mammograms. So if you... Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
You don't do mammograms, correct? There's like 1 or 2 places that doesn't, but you don't do mammograms.
If you would give me one moment to explain. Planned Parenthood is a women's health center, just like where I go for my breast exams every year. If you need a mammogram, you're referred to a radiological center, and that's how women actually receive their care. And we provide breast exams I can get you the numbers of how many hundreds of thousands of women received breast exams at Planned Parenthood last year. Has nothing to do with, I don't, again,
here's
you
the
created this slide, I have no idea what it is.
Well, it's the reduction over the course of years in pink. That's the reduction in the breast exams, and the red is the increase in the abortions. That's what's going on in your organization.
This is a slide that has never been shown to me before. I'm happy to look at it, but it absolutely does not reflect what's happening at Planned Parenthood.
You're going to deny that if we take those numbers out of your report?
I'm going to deny the slide that you just shown me that no one has ever provided us before. We've provided you all the information about everything, all the services that Planned Parenthood provides, and it doesn't feel like we're trying to get to the truth here. You just showed me this. I'm happy to look at it.
I pulled those numbers directly out of your corporate reports.
Oh, excuse me, my loggers are informing me that the source of this is actually Americans United for Life, which is an anti-abortion group, so I would check your source.
Then we will get to the bottom of the truth of that. We'll now recognize Mr. Cummings for a generous 7 minutes.
I thought it was 8.
Now, the initial discussion about the mammogram seems silly to me. It sounds to me that the congressman didn't understand that such things are normally referred to a specialist. I mean, you'd want a radiologist to look at those x-rays, right? If I'm wrong, someone with knowledge about whether mammograms could or should be done in a Planned Parenthood clinic, do let me know in the comments. But that's not what I want to talk about. Instead, I want to talk about the chart he showed during the exchange. It was hard to see in the video, but luckily we're in the age of the internet where such things are easily found. First, it is true that Planned Parenthood didn't make this chart, and it does come from the pro-life Americans United for Life group. So for the congressman to suggest I pulled those numbers directly from your corporate report is basically lying. Neither he nor the committee made this chart. But what's wrong with the chart, and why is it a topic of this video? Well, let's put a more accurate version next to it so you can see what's happening. First, please forgive the crappy Photoshop work there. That's not very important in my opinion. What's important is to see that the two charts tell a very different story from one another, and I'm going to get back to the corrected chart later, but for now we'll focus on the original chart so I can explain what exactly is wrong with it. I verified the labels and the data is correct. You can look yourself, as the annual reports of Planned Parenthood are available online. But what is misleading here is the way they have chosen to chart the data. How is it that abortions in 2006 at 290,000 and in 2013 at 327,000 are both higher on the chart than the 935,000 cancer screenings and prevention services provided? What's happening here? Well, the problem is that they're attempting to compare two things but using dramatically different scales for the two items. Basically, it implies something that isn't happening, specifically that such cancer prevention services are now exceeded by abortions. And unless you look closely at the numbers being provided, hearing someone describe this chart as abortions are going up and cancer screenings are going down, you would not be faulted for believing that Planned Parenthood now does more abortions than it does provide cancer prevention services. Another consequence is that visually, the rate of change for abortions is almost as large as a decrease in cancer prevention services. The reality is that while cancer prevention services has decreased, it has decreased by 53%, the change in abortions is only about 12. Visually, it looks like they're very close, which gives you the false impression that abortions are going up at the same rate that cancer prevention services are going down. And this is why the corrected chart shown here looks so different and seems to tell an entirely different story. Instead of cancer screenings going down at a dramatic rate with abortions matching that pace upwards, abortion has actually increased at an almost negligible pace. Abortions are also nowhere close to the number of cancer prevention services provided, much less exceeding it. However, it remains true that cancer prevention services did go down dramatically between those 2 years. 53% is certainly a dramatic decrease. All that said, one may argue that what really matters is that abortions are going up and cancer prevention services are going down. And this is absolutely true whichever chart you choose to look at. But does this actually show that Planned Parenthood is providing less health services in general and more abortions as a percentage of their services? Are they actually doing less non-abortion services with taxpayer money? Let's take a look. So if you actually chart abortions with the other major services Planned Parenthood provides for those 2 years, it looks like this. Note that this data is available in more detail from the corporate reports that was already mentioned. So here you can see that abortion as a percentage of all services hasn't really changed all that much. It has gone up some, but remains around the 3% mark, going up from just under 3% to just over 3%. What about the data in the intervening years? I added 2009 here, and we already see something interesting. We see now that abortions are actually lower in 2013 than it was in 2009. Not by much, surely, but still lower. This clearly shows the pitfalls of cherry-picking specific years for your data, because it can tell a very different story when they're omitted. We also see that while the distribution of services has changed, abortions hasn't really become a greater part of Planned Parenthood. I apologize for editorializing here a little bit, but it does seem that the congressman, in showing the chart that he did, was pushing a particular narrative, one where abortions have dramatically increased relative to other services. And the fact that he went so far as to claim that he pulled the data himself and was caught in the lie has to be a little bit embarrassing. To be clear, I'm 100% for this investigation. If Planned Parenthood are, in fact, doing something illegal, we deserve to find out the truth. But whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, you should want your government representatives to do their jobs properly in a professional and honest manner. And I would propose to you that this did not happen with this particular exchange. At best, it was an oversight, and at worst, the congressman was being intentionally misleading. Either way, we deserve better.